What are the so we've got cryptocurrency, and then there's a token. There's the tokens. And then we got the NFTs. Can you just unpack those for us?
Sure. The language can get confusing, and I myself interchange between coin or token when I'm as just a general term to refer to things. But there is a taxonomy that I've come up with and that I use when I'm being more careful with my language in the advices that I give. And so that broad taxonomy is that you have the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Other terms are payment coins or payment tokens, and literally for the use of transferring value from one party to another, and to perform the function or one of the functions of currency. But what we've seen is that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies like it are highly volatile. And that's where we got into the need for having stable coins. And like the name suggests, the technology that supports a stable coin needs to ensure it maintains stable to an underlying asset. And there are a number of US dollar pegged stable coins, and there are three roughly types of those. Some that are 100% fiat collateralized. So there is, for every $1 stable coin, there is an actual $1 held in a bank account reserve. And then it scales through to purely algorithmically collateralized, where it's the code functioning to try and maintain the stable peg. And this is where people really have to be careful, because you might think you're buying a stable coin to hold its value, but if it's an algorithmically based one, you are still putting yourself at risk that you could be exposed to increases or decreases in the stablecoin value. The next is a utility token, and we're still seeing these sorts of tokens eventuate because they are designed, or they're intended to be, giving the holder access to goods, services, or information on the network. And because this technology is still very early stage, we're not seeing businesses be completely automated through the use of this technology yet. So we're not seeing the goods and services being provided. And effectively, the utility token is like the voucher to use the services. Okay. And because they've been released now before the goods and services are available, they look more like a cryptocurrency.
Right.
The next category is tokenized securities. So existing things that are regulated like shares or property interest, fractional property interest, where that real world interest, even if it's just in electronic form, because you might not necessarily keep your share certificates anymore, that instance of a security is tokenized. And you might have seen a couple of weeks ago that Binance, one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, has partnered with a German company to allow the secondary market trading of tokenized securities. The alternative to that, and what people should be mindful of, are security tokens, where they only exist by virtue of the technology bringing them to life, but the characteristics that they have means that they should be regulated as if they were a share or an interest in a managed investment scheme. But the token team, the team that's launched it, may not necessarily have gotten the legal advice or the registrations or complied with the disclosure requirements that are typically required for the issue of securities. Then there's only a couple more categories. Then we've got governance tokens, and these also look very much like a cryptocurrency because they are volatile, but they, in theory, are intended to give each holder a right to vote, one vote per token, and it gives you a say in how the network and how the technology is developed. Again, this could be a class that might be a security token, but there's a lot of work being done to establish exactly what this means, and are people who are acquiring these governance tokens somehow involved legally and legally responsible for any mistakes or things that happen as a result of the technology. So be very careful when you're buying governance tokens. And I would say, unless you're experimenting, try not to use it to vote, because we're still learning about the principles and the risks of holding governance tokens. Finally, there's one, well, second to last is the one that you mentioned, non-fungible tokens. And like I gave you the example before of a fungible token, the ERC20 standard, Bitcoin is also a fungible token. All of the cryptocurrencies are. Non-fungible is that rarity, the uniqueness. You can't mix it with other assets. And I put one share in and it's okay for me to get any of those other one shares out. It has the unique characteristics. We're also seeing NFTs be used in a financial context, though, where it gets very, very into the weeds. But there was a mistake made a couple of weeks ago where an NFT that represented somebody's unique financial interest in a scheme, the person that received it mistook it for a piece of artwork and sold it on an NFT marketplace for much lower than the value that it represented. So watch out for those ones. And then finally, we will see more talk about this, CBDCs or central bank digital currencies. And like the name suggests, digital money issued directly by a central bank. And aligned with that is the stable coin category and how long we see stable coins being useful and whether they will dissipate or have to work in harmony when central banks start to issue their own digital currencies.
Wow. Well, I didn't even realize that there were so many things there. So appreciate you unpacking.